Hello from the Eastern Sierras. This week I'm going to be backpacking out here in California's Eastern Sierras. It's really beautiful out here. As you guys can probably already see, I'm at a really cool destination here. Hopefully my finger was like close to the mountain there when I pointed. But I'm at this beautiful lake and I backpacked up here today. It was really windy. Maybe you can hear it still is a little bit windy. But by backpacking up here during the day, I was able to scout out some compositions. You guys can probably see the sky above me here. It's pretty clear, so it's not going to be a super great night for photos. But what is going to be happening is tomorrow morning we have the full moon is going to be setting right around sunrise. It's going to be beautiful conditions. It's going to be absolutely perfect and I'm going to shoot it. So I wanted to get up here early today so I could scout around, find a great spot to shoot this full moon when it's setting as the sun is rising. That's going to make it so there's a little bit of ambient light out there, and it's going to make it so that I can get a really nice photo. And then the rest of the week, I'm just going to be backpacking here. I've got like 3 or 4 days probably that I'll spend out here just backpacking through, going to a few different lakes, hoping for some thunderstorms and some weather to come through. But potentially it might just be clear the whole time, in which case I'll have a lot of fun shooting some blue hour stuff. So I'm excited to bring you guys along with me. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I want to show you guys what I'm looking at for tomorrow morning, as well as I will show you camp. All right, guys, well, this is the spot that I'm thinking about shooting tomorrow morning. You can see we've got this really beautiful channel here. It's actually reflecting really well. Even if it's windy, it should be reflecting good because it's kind of off to the side. So first things first, I guess you guys are probably wondering, how do I know that the moon is going to be setting behind this mountain in the morning? And I'm using photo pills, so I'm going to show you guys here. I'm in my photo pills app. I'll bring it up here. You're going to click planner, and then you can click night AR. And then you can click now on the top left if it's not already set to your current time. Now you can see the date is up on the top left. Right now it's 7:39 p.m. So we're about right here in the golden hour. Now as I slide over, this little gray bar on the top of the screen, watch as the moon appears. You can see the Milky Way and the moon is just behind it. And the moon is going to be right there, right behind the mountain. It's going to look really nice. And so I'm thinking that this is going to be a nice spot here because now that I know that with photo pills that is where the moon is going to be, I can grab my camera here and put this out here. And I really like the way that that's stacking up. Now I might shoot multiple compositions, but this is the one I think I'm going to like the best because my other compositions worked really well at like 17 or 18 millimeters, super wide angle. The thing about this composition is I can shoot it at like 50 millimeters. Now the benefit when you're shooting a full moon like that is, if you guys have never shot the full moon before, you wouldn't know this, but if you have, you know that like using a wide angle lens and shooting a full moon, the moon is basically just a very small white speck. Now sure, you can zoom in and you can do some Photoshop work, but I want to try and keep this photo true to how it actually is. I don't want to do a lot of enlargement of the moon there. I'm sure you guys have seen some pretty crazy, super large moons. It's not hard to do. It's just something that I don't want to do all the time. So for that reason, I like this composition because I can shoot at about 50 millimeters and the moon will be a little bit larger than it would be if I was shooting at 18 millimeters. Now that doesn't mean that I'm not going to swap lenses because the moon is moving relatively slowly. I probably have like a 45-minute window that I can shoot. So I'm going to shoot lots of different compositions. Luckily out here at this lake, there's tons of different spots to choose from. And places that I can go. So I'll grab lots of different shots and then I'll have lots of options when I go home. You of course always want to have more options rather than less, so that when you go home you have enough photos to edit from and you don't have to sit there and think, man, I wish I would have got that shot. So this is what I like doing on nights like this where it's clear. You guys saw that there's really nothing great happening for photography. It's still a little bit windy, so we don't even have really much of a reflection in the water. If you do a lot of backcountry photography, you definitely know that not every night is going to be a gusto. You're not going to get the great sunset or sunrise every night. In fact, most trips you're not even going to get a great sunset or sunrise once. So it's nice to be on the lookout, scouting, looking for other opportunities such as blue hour, moon shots, things like that. So that's what I'm going to be doing in the morning. Alrighty guys, and last but not least, we've got the campsite here. I've got a tent, I've got my backpack, my camera over there, I've got a tripod here, some other good stuff over here. We love carrying a bear canister, so that kind of sucks. Would much rather hang my food, but bear canister is required here, so I'm using one. Got a couple other things there, and then beautiful view of the mountains. So this is where we're going to be posting up tonight and getting up tomorrow morning. With that being said, I'm going to grab some sleep because I'm going to be up at 5 a.m. So we'll see you guys bright and early for the full moon shoot. Here we go, guys. All right, guys, good morning. We're out here shooting this full moon right now, like I said. However, I realized my photo pose was still in Mountain Standard Time instead of Pacific Standard Time. I live in Mountain Standard. Right now I'm in Pacific. This poses a little bit of a problem when you're doing something like a full moon shoot. I'll show you guys why and show you guys kind of how I'm compensating for it. Okay, so here is the scene that we're looking at now. This is a little bit different than what I mentioned I was going to shoot yesterday. And that is because you can see the moon is almost already dipping behind. My campsite is way over there, so I was getting more of a look this direction on the mountain, so the moon is already gone at my campsite. So essentially I hiked all the way around this lake to the other side so that I could shoot from this particular spot here, and I'm getting this nice reflection, getting the moon right there. Now the challenge that shooting a full moon provides is as you're shooting it, the moon is going to be blown out and the foreground is going to be too dark. So you're going to either have to bracket your shots or do what I did and walk around as far as you possibly can so you can allow as much light to hit that foreground as possible so that you can potentially maybe get to the spot where you can capture the moon and the foreground in one shot. And so that's basically what I'm doing right now. I'm just waiting. I've got the camera set up here, and I don't think I'm going to quite get there in one shot here, but we want to make this exposure as fast as we possibly can in hopes that we will not blow out the moon. And we can zoom in on the moon here. You can see it is still a little bit blown out. So we can actually bracket that if we want. A few different options here. If I'm gonna bracket this, I'm just gonna bring the exposure a little bit faster, and hopefully that'll do the trick. That is gonna require some Photoshop work, but that is what we're working with. And now, unfortunately, this moon is going to stay pretty bright until it drops behind that ridge there, which is going to be pretty soon. But tomorrow I'm going to be at a new location, like tomorrow morning, where I'm hopeful that I will be able to capture the moon. Because I think once I'm at this new location tomorrow, the moon will be about an hour later. So it will be a little bit higher in the morning when I can capture it. All right, guys, well, that wraps up what I'm doing at sunrise here. So we're going to head back to camp, make some breakfast, maybe take a quick nap, pack up, and then get this show on the road to head to the next lake. Super excited for today, and of course I'll keep you guys updated with the beautiful views and what we're up to, especially with what we're shooting. All right, guys. All right, well, it's about 9 o'clock. I'm on the move. I will keep you guys updated with the sights and sounds of the day. And then, of course, we'll talk about what we're thinking when we get to camp tonight and exactly what we're going to shoot, how we're going to do it. Here we go, guys. All right, well, now we reach decision time. So I've made it to the lake where I was planning on camping tonight, and I have the option to either camp here or I can scramble up a couple hundred feet. There's a couple more lakes up top that I could potentially camp at as well. This one looks pretty cool. It's all gonna depend on once I get over to where the campsites are, A, how much shade there is, and B, if the mosquitoes are bad. That'll kind of determine what I'm gonna do here. And I honestly think that the lakes above this one are going to be just as good for photography. So there's not any rhyme or reason photography-wise why I would or wouldn't want to camp here. All right, well, after scouting some things out, I've decided I'm going to stay at that lake. So I went ahead, set up camp, went ahead and cleaned myself up, read a book, tried to take a little nap, but that didn't work. But anyways, we're going to stay at that lake now, doing some scouting before dinner. So I'm actually hiking uphill to this lake that I'll probably be visiting again tomorrow, but I want to scout it out right now tonight with just a light pack with just my camera in it. And that way we'll find out if it's going to be worth it to come back up tomorrow or not. So I'm headed up right now to go check out that lake. All right, well, the original plan was to come up here and then hike along this pass, get up to the top, there's a lake there, and then drop down one lake on that side. So this lake up here is like the top. There's one more drop down on the other side. I think will make for good photos. However, I scoped that out, and it's just at the top, there's like a little too sketchy section, like a 50-foot spot where it's just too much loose rock and dirt that I'm afraid that I might run into issues. That's right up here. And so for that reason, I might go out and around. I can still access the lake on the other side via good trail. It's just that my day goes from about 2 miles to like 14 miles. Not a big deal. That's probably what I'll end up doing, but we'll make a decision in the morning. But if I do make it up there, you guys will see basically I'm going to be right on the other side of this, but it's going to be a long day of hiking if I want to do that. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying this beautiful lake for a little bit before I scramble back down and get some dinner. You can see pretty sweet looking lake right in the basin of this beautiful mountain right here. All right, and then down here at this lake is where I'm camping. I'm camped right on the other side of this big boulder here. You can see what a beautiful area here. Beautiful mountains, beautiful blue lake. What a time to be alive. All right, guys, so as you can see, not the most exciting night yet again. Clear up here on the mountains, which is totally fine. I'm camped way on the other side of the lake here. It took a little bit of time to walk over here, but I wanted to scout this out for the morning. And what I'm thinking yet again is I'm going to shoot the moon. I think tomorrow morning will be even better because the moon is going to be up a little bit later, which is going to allow me to get a few more shots when the mountains are a little bit more light, so I don't have to like HDR stack it. So I'll show you guys. This is my photo pills here. Maybe you can see the time in the corner depending on what resolution you're watching this on YouTube. 5 a.m. the moon will be right there, right above this center peak. It should be like right here. And then as we move into like 5:45, it should be right over this peak. So it's going to be kind of coming this way. And so we should be able to get some good shots all the way through. And then golden hour starts at 5:50, so that'll be a great time to grab some shots as well. So what I'm thinking here, and this is all stuff that I like to figure out now so I don't have to mess with it in the morning. What I'm thinking is we're going to use the zoom lens here. So you can see maybe I've got my 28 to 200 right here. And I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to shoot like this, and I'm going to grab a pano, basically just like that, just of the mountains and hopefully the reflection. You can see there is little to no reflection right now because it's windy, but usually I find in the mountains in the mornings there's a lot better chance of it being not windy, and obviously if it's not windy then that will produce a reflection. So that's what I'm thinking for tomorrow morning. So that's the plan, guys. It was kind of a pain getting over here, but oh well, I'll make it back in the morning with a headlamp. Probably be out at about 4:45 or so. Try and get over here by like 5:15ish just so I can get all set up. And we'll cross our fingers that there is a reflection on the water. So I'm really looking forward to it, but for now, we're gonna go to bed. I'm gonna catch a little extra sleep tonight again, just because I'm gonna be getting up so early. And as you can see, these bluebird skies are not the most exciting for photography. We'll see you guys in the morning for the full moon yet again. All right, well, good morning, everyone. For once, we actually ended up where we planned. You can see the moon is pretty much right where we thought it would be. So the augmented reality feature of PhotoPills worked pretty good in this instance. And unfortunately, as you can see, the lake is moving a little bit. Not so great of a reflection. However, using a little bit longer of an exposure, I'm able to get somewhat of a little reflection here. And of course, there's always Photoshop if you do want to do that as well, which I may end up doing. But at this point, we're just waiting for it to get a little bit lighter outside. I've snapped some photos already, but the moon is a little bit blown out just because it was a little dark. Maybe you can see here if I get closer and I pan up to the moon, you can see it's just totally blown out. So the problem is, since the moon is still glowing so much up here, you have to have a pretty fast exposure so that the moon isn't blown out. But if your exposure is that fast, then the mountains right here are not going to be lit up. So that's the benefit of today's moon versus yesterday's moon, is you can see that we've still got probably 45-ish minutes, maybe an hour, until the moon is going to go behind those peaks. And then over here, the sun is rising in the next like 30 minutes or so. So when that sun rises, the glow on the moon is going to decrease. Everything else is going to get brighter. So there's going to be less dynamic range between the moon and then the mountains. So I should be able to get it all in one shot. We'll keep you guys posted. All right, guys, well, the lake has actually calmed down quite a bit. There's actually a little bit of a reflection going on now. It's getting better by the minute. The moon is in a really nice spot. It's getting more light out. The technical sunrise was like 2 or 3 minutes ago, so I'm expecting sun to hit the peaks really, really soon here. And I think we're going to be looking at some really nice photo conditions when it does. I'll show you guys the view of the mountains once the light hits the peak in just a second. All right, so peaks up here are catching some light. They're slightly taller than the peaks that I'm shooting. So I'm expecting these guys to get light in the next like 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes max. So at this point, what I'm doing is getting my shot ready. So I'm essentially dialing in my exposure so that it's properly exposed. I'm gonna take a shot here and I'm gonna shoot a pano, which is why I'm so far off to the right and not centered. And I wanna review that photo. So I'm just hitting my image review button and then I'm zooming in. On most cameras, there's like a zoom in button somewhere near the top. It'll be shown by this little plus on the magnifying glass. Zoom into the moon and make sure your moon is not blown out. So you can see maybe mine might be slightly blown out. So let's just increase our shutter speed like 2 clicks and we'll try again. Now you might be wondering why I'm doing all this right now before that light actually hits. I just want to make sure that my moon is not overexposed. That looks a lot better to me, so that when that light hits, I can grab my shots really quickly. One thing that you want to do when you're shooting a pano like this, especially like at sunrise or sunset or maybe during the blue hour, is you want to shoot your pano really quickly. So I want to get like 1, 2, 3, 4 back to back to back. I want to be able to quickly rotate my camera around and grab those shots, because if you don't do it quickly, the problem you'll run into is that the first frame will be a lot darker than the ones on the side, and it's not too terribly noticeable of a difference depending on how slow you are, I guess, but it is something that can make your photos look a little weird when one side is slightly brighter than the rest. So I want to grab those shots as absolutely quick as possible so that they all look pretty much the same. I don't want to be reviewing images in between shots. I can review the images at the very end once I have all of the shots. The other thing that you might notice is maybe you can see all the bugs flying around like up in this area, which is showing up pretty badly on my camera. Luckily, I can do some spot healing, so I'm not too worried about that. But I'm really, really happy with where everything is here. Maybe you can see here the moon is just barely above that mountain. It's going to look really nice. You can see that light is starting to hit now. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these shots. I've got to put the GoPro down to grab it because I do need 2 hands in order to rotate the ball head here. Alrighty guys, well that's a wrap. What a beautiful morning. I'm actually gonna go pack up camp. We're gonna head up this pass over here where I said I wasn't gonna go yesterday. Was actually at a lake that was just up here, and then there was another pass, but I'm actually gonna try and go up it with the fallback plan that I'll just come back down here and camp another night if I can't get up there, but I do wanna give it a try with the pack on because I'd love to get up and over and get to the next lake. So that's a wrap on the morning, and we'll catch you guys this afternoon. I'll show you the views and the scenery like usual. Well, I'm up on the pass now, and it is definitely not as bad as I thought. The section I'm on right now wasn't what I was worried about. I was kind of worried about up through here because originally when I was looking at it from across the lake, it looked like there wasn't really rocks. It just looked like dirt, which I don't really like because then you slide and you slide a long ways. But now that I'm up here, I can actually see there's rocks and stuff to grab onto. So it should be relatively easy, and it's also a lot easier to see when there's like side light and not the direct light that I was looking at yesterday. So looks like a beautiful day. We're headed up, and then after that, the whole rest of the trip should pretty much be downhill. So yeah, we will check out the lake at the top. Alrighty, well we're headed down. We're gonna be camping somewhere, probably over here, maybe over here tonight. This will be the last night, and we'll hopefully get some really nice views of the peaks. It's looking like a really nice afternoon so far. All right, guys, well, I've spent the afternoon setting up camp and just relaxing in preparation for the hike out tomorrow. Right now, to my left, we have the mountains, and to the right, we have a very large storm. Unfortunately, they're not both in the same direction, and I don't think they're ever going to be, but I'll show you guys kind of where the camp is, where the mountains are, as well as this cool storm that is brewing off in the distance. All right, so maybe you can see my tent is right over here. Mountains over here. There's like a little tarn up here. The main lake is down over the corner here. And then the cool storm is brewing way out there. Unfortunately, I thought at first maybe it would move this way, but it's been out there for a couple hours and hasn't gotten any closer. So Tonight I'm just going to walk around and kind of look for some telephoto compositions, as well as look for something for the morning on my last morning here. So I'm going to take you guys along with me. All right, guys, hate to say it, but we struck out again on sunset. The storm did not move in. In fact, it went further away, and there was absolutely zero clouds. So unfortunately, we didn't get any of the really great like wide angle landscape shots. However, what I did do is shoot a little bit of golden hour stuff. It was really fun trying to find some telephoto compositions in the golden hour, and I actually am really happy with a couple of the shots I got. And then after that, we're gonna go to bed, and we'll see you guys in the morning for one last final sunrise shoot. Alrighty guys, well, final morning, nothing too crazy going on here. A little bit of reflection in the pool down here. We've got the full moon up here. Just grabbing a few shots, nothing too terribly exciting. Unfortunately, we never quite got any storms to roll in like we were hoping. But yeah, that is pretty much going to do it for the shooting. Now it's just the hike out and dealing with the mosquitoes on the way out of the trail. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this video was interesting to you to see kind of the backpacking process. If you guys did enjoy this, please let me know down in the comments. I will make more of these as I go backpacking this summer. I've got a few more trips planned that I'm really stoked for. And currently I still have a couple trips up, a couple videos from other trips that I've done. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.